Hello everybody and welcome to my ranking of the Transformers movies. All 5 of them, all directed by Michael Bay. Now that I have seen Transformers The Last Night, I have actually reviewed all 5 of the movies. They're in the same playlist as this video. They're on my channel. Check them out if you want extended thoughts. I will be doing brief digest opinions in this video and ranking them in order of personal preference. Like with my other rankings, this is just a subjective list. I'm not saying you have to rank the list like this. This is just my opinion, and if we disagree, that's fine. But just, you know, be nice about it in the comments. If any nasty comments, deleted. So, I know a lot of people would say, what's the point in ranking the Transformers movies as they're all the same? Yeah, I can see your point, but, you know, for the sake of having an order, let's go for it. So, number 5. Now, this is a really easy choice for me. Number 5 is Age of Extinction. This movie is a mess. I don't really like it very much. I've only seen it like 3 or 4 times. It is clearly my least favourite. The biggest problem with this movie is that it's way too long. It is 2 hours 45 minutes and it really suffers because of that. And whilst visually it looks very nice, you know, that's really it, and there's some good action, but there's just too much of it. There's just too much going on. It's all happening all at once. The story is the weakest of the series, in the sense of, you know, the whole transformium thing and the seed. It just gets very confusing and it's very convoluted, and, you know, there basically is no script. I mean, I guess the one thing I'll say is that it's refreshing in the sense of the change of cast from Shia LaBeouf to Mark Wahlberg. I like the character of Cade, and his, you know, I mean, his daughter and her boyfriend not so much, but Cade is a good protagonist. He's pretty decent for what he is, and I kind of like how he finds Optimus Prime, but there's not much of a story. It drags on for too long, and there's too much action. It's like the movie has like 58 different climaxes. It just doesn't know when to end. Like, if it cut itself down by 45 minutes, you'd have a pretty alright film. You'd have a pretty decent average movie, and the story is just it's not compelling to me. Like, I don't hate it. I don't think it's atrocious, but I just don't think it's anything good. It's the weakest of the series. Stanley Tucci can be a little bit annoying in certain scenes. The humor is the same Michael Bay shit that we've seen in the other movies. And it's the one we were promised, the Dinobots, but we didn't get them until the last 10 minutes, so it wasn't really worth it. And, you know, in the end, it's the weakest for me. I never warmed up to Age of Extinction, and it's the one that gives me the least pleasure watching. So, yes, that's it. Number 5 is Age of Extinction. Okay, number 4. Now, a lot of people would probably rate this as the worst, but I get more enjoyment out of this one than Age of Extinction. Number 4 is the second film. Now, I don't actually think this is as atrocious as people say, but, I mean, I actually loved it when it first came out, when I first saw it, because I thought it was really impressive. Looking back on it, yeah, it's not that. Revenge of the Fallen. The problem with this movie is that it's just over the top. There's so much going on at such a, you know, high-octane pace that it's kind of hard to keep up with this movie. The story doesn't really take off until an hour into the movie, and that's really the biggest problem. Like, the first hour is just filler, like Sam Witwicky going to college. I couldn't really give a shit about any of that. Again, too much focus on the human characters. This is a problem that all of the movies have, so I won't repeat myself. I mean, the movie offers some great action scenes. The huge spectacle in the battle. That's one thing that all the movies have, is spectacle. It's fun. You know, there are some fun scenes, but it's long, and the first hour, my God, is just a bit of a rough patch. I mean, why did we have Sam's roommate Leo? He was such a pointless character. He added nothing to the story. Why did one of the Transformers disguise themselves as one of the girls from his college and try and seduce him? That didn't make sense. I can't believe Michael Bay actually makes a plot point out of that. And there's a moment when they're on the bed, and then, you know, she's trying to seduce him, and we get a shot of her, like, a metal tail coming out of her, well, out of her behind, and it's done in like such a paparazzi way, like the upskirt kind of shot where, you know, you see her knickers and stuff. It's like, this is not what I wanted to see in a Transformers movie. I mean, some of the comedy I like, some of it I don't. I think it's very hit and miss. John Turturro is all right in this movie. They kind of drag him into the second half. I mean, why did he strip down to his pants? I don't know, but I mean, it kind of made me laugh. Megan Fox, she's a little bit better in this movie, but that's not saying much. I mean, when she's like confessing her love to Sam at the end when he's about to die, it's she is trying there, so I'll give her that. She's doing a little bit better, but I think after the first one, they just went too far in a lot of places. The movie's too long as well. It goes on for 2.5 hours, and I mean, I did like the whole aspect of the origins of the Transformers and the idea of the Matrix, but there are parts of the movie that are just unnecessary, dull, slow. I actually think the second half of this movie really picks up, and the death of Optimus Prime was an interesting plot point, and, you know, bringing him back to life as well was cool. And I mean, the Fallen is an alright antagonist, I guess. Guy that voices him, Tony Todd, does a good job. But again, it's huge, and there's a great battle in the desert. The Devastator. I mean, there are some terrible jokes in there, like, you know, below the enemy scrotum. Come on, Michael Bay. Come on. But yeah, it's not great, but it's for me, I get more enjoyment out of Age of Extinction because I think there are some fun scenes here. It is a bit more fun, and the action is awesome. And it's not as much of it as there is in Age of Extinction. The plot is actually better, and it's more consistent than Age of Extinction. So it's number 4. It's still not great though. So yeah, number 3, taking the midway spot, is actually the third movie, Dark of the Moon. Yeah, Dark of the Moon. I like this one. I think it's passable. I give it a pass. It's a good enough, decent, well, not even decent. It's a just under average movie. It's they actually tried to be a little bit different with this one, so I appreciate that. I like the story. You know, the whole linking to the Apollo missions, I thought was really cool. Again, too much focus on the human characters. The movies again, the first hour is too long. It's too long. Like, seeing Sam go through his job, we don't need to see all of that. That just takes up too much of the runtime. I do prefer Rosie Huntington-Whiteley over Megan Fox, I must say. I think she's actually quite charming, and her character is a lot more. You believe the romance a lot more for me with her and Shia LaBeouf than you do with Megan Fox. Megan Fox just kind of felt forcibly along for the ride, but that's just me. And, you know, I like the sort of emotional storyline in this movie, that Sam isn't happy. He wants to matter. He wants to fight with the Transformers. And then, you know, he has to kind of find his purpose in life, which I think is good. John Turturro is a little bit forced in the movie. The action is awesome. I mean, to be fair, this movie is kind of structurally a bit all over the place. Whoops. I knocked a glass over there. The first hour is kind of dull, you know, it's kind of slow, it goes on, you're like, come on, where is this going to go? And then the last, like, hour or hour 15 minutes is the final battle. It goes on for ages. It's like, oh my god, this is bigger, going even bigger. I did like the visual effects and CGI. That's one thing you can praise the entire series for, is that the visuals and CGI have always held up. And in this movie, I think they're particularly interesting. I like Shockwave, and the worm thing is really interesting. How that kind of comes in and out. And Sentinel Prime, I thought, was an interesting character. And when he obviously betrays them, that's an interesting turn in the story. And Patrick Dempsey's character I liked. He was good. Dylan. He was an absolute prick. And, yes, Rosamund Huntington Whiteley is over-sexualized. But, she's hot. She's so hot. And she's a better actress than Megan Fox, definitely. And by the end, you feel like, yes, the movie ends really abruptly. Like, the battle just finishes, the Optimus Prime gives his speech, and then boom, credits. It's like, oh, really? Is that it? Fine, yeah. I agree with Jeremy Jahns. It was like way too abrupt the way they just ended it. They're like, okay, fine, it's been on for too long, wrap it up. Yeah, I also like the soundtrack for this movie. I think the soundtrack's really cool. The Linkin Park song that they use in this movie is good as well. Iridescent, I think it's called. They used one called New Divide in Revenge of the Fallen, which I thought was good as well. The Age of Extinction song was Imagine Dragons' Battle Cry, which I thought was crap. Dark of the Moon suffers in pacing. Some annoying characters, like the Chinese guy that gets the guns out at the beginning and he dies. John Malkovich is interesting. Frances McDormand plays a good character. There are good things in this movie, and the action is great, as usual. But it's too long. It just kind of goes on, really. They kind of forget about the plot towards the end and just go for the big fights. It's more of the same, but it's not as annoying or over the top as Revenge of the Fallen. It is over the top in some places, but not as much as Revenge of the Fallen. So yeah, I give Dark of the Moon a pass, and it's the middle of this list. It takes the middle spot. Okay, top 2. Number 2 is the latest Transformers movie, The Last Night.
That you have the most beautiful face.
I did not expect to be ranking this one this high, but I really do enjoy this one. I thought it was, well, I enjoyed it to a point. I thought, yeah, it's more of the same stuff that we've seen before, and I knew that was going to be the case going in. But it was actually a lot better than I expected. It was a lot of nostalgic, throwing in some old characters from other movies, which we've seen before. Michael Bay I feel like, has listened to some of his critics and some of his reviewers who have complained about his previous ones. He's really downscaled it since Age of Extinction. Age of Extinction went too far. It just went too far with everything. So this one, they've kind of watered it down a little bit. It's still long and it's still big, but it's not as big. Like, the action feels less in your face than it does in Age of Extinction, which I like. It's nice to see Mark Wahlberg come back as Cade Yeager, and his story now is really done. And I like his role in this film. How he's there and he's trying to hide away from the government. I'm glad they got rid of his daughter and her boyfriend. They just didn't need to be there, so thank God that they weren't in the movie. Laura Haddock is good. She's not as sexualized as the others. She wears a sexy dress at one point, but other than that, she's fine. And she actually plays a generally good character. Yes, the plot is overstuffed. It doesn't make sense in parts, but it's more coherent than the previous movie and some of the other ones. Sir Anthony Hopkins is good in this film. He's a shining beacon of light, although he is basically just an exposition tool. However, he is good at what he does, and he really does elevate the movie a lot. So, yeah, and obviously the CGI visual effects are awesome. The soundtrack is great this time, and you hear some of that main theme, the da 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 da, which is great. I love that. And it's a bit shorter. It's 2 hours 28 minutes. It's still long, but it doesn't feel as long as some of the others, so it's good. And it's nice to go to London, go to the UK. So thanks for that. There's a C3PO ripoff droid, which obviously they mention in the script. So that's interesting. Quintessa's an interesting antagonist. She's not in it very much. She's okay. And Optimus Prime, he's barely in this film. The stuff with him turning evil is wasted. They don't make enough out of it. So don't go in there expecting that to be something major, because it's not. He turns up to get this staff, and then he has a fight with Bumblebee, and then changes back. So yeah, it's not major. It's nothing major. And this character called Isabella, the little girl that's in the trailers, she's don't go and see it for her, because she's only in the beginning and the end. There's no point going to see it for her. Again, the comedy is hit and miss. Some of the Michael Bay humor lands, some of it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it's more of the same, but it would be a good place to end on. I like the history side of it with the Crusades and the Dark Ages. That was cool. But it's not the best of the series, obviously. You know which one's my favourite. But I mean, it's better than some of the others, so fine. It'll do. It's fine. But Michael Bay, just stop now. Okay. The first one is of course number one. Yeah, the original Transformers movie, which came out 10 years ago. Bloody hell, can't believe we've had 10 years of Michael Bay's wet dream. Yeah, the first Transformers movie, I really like this one. It's actually a decent movie, because it's simple. It's simplistic. It's just simple, it's fun. You know, they're just trying to, you know, they're fighting over this cube thing, which creates life, and they're just coming down to Earth for a big fight. It's great. I mean, you know, it's just fun. It's simple, it's fun. It is long, but it's the shortest of the 5, and it benefits from that. Although the Transformers don't really appear till very late into the movie, like an hour into the movie, so they spend too much time on Shia LaBeouf and the other human characters. But and the soundtrack is awesome. The action is incredible. It's probably the best action of the series, actually, because it's the first time you see it. I was genuinely blown away when I saw this at the cinema. I thought, oh my god, this is actually really good. I didn't expect it to be like this. I thought Transformers would be quite babyish, but there's a really awesome action scene in the desert when the soldiers are running away from the Scorponok's Transformer, which is awesome, and the music that goes with it, dong 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 dong, like it's actually really cool. I actually felt a lot of tension in the action in the first one, which is probably why it's the best. And I mean, there are probably too many human characters, but they all come together for the end, and it all kind of, the script is actually the most consistent of the 5, and it all comes together really well. Even though a couple of the characters probably you didn't need. I do like John Voight in this movie, and this is the most interesting of the military scenes that we have in the Transformers films with Michael Bay. The military scenes are actually the most interesting to watch in this movie compared to the other 4 movies that we've got. It's not a perfect movie, like I said. Again, the comedy doesn't completely land. Like, the parents could have been removed. You didn't need them whatsoever. Or if you had to have them in it, only have them for, like, cameo roles. You don't need them. Like, Dark of the Moon got it right. Dark of the Moon had the parents in, like, 2 scenes. That was fine. I could deal with that. Revenge of the Fallen, they took it further, which wasn't necessary. With this movie, they are in it quite a bit, and you know, they sort of question Sam about him. They go, "Oh, are you masturbating? What? Why would you make that joke in a Transformers movie? What?" Oh, I mean, again, Megan Fox. She's not very good in this movie. I'm sorry. I don't buy her romance with Shia LaBeouf. Like when she says, "I'm really glad I got in that car with you." Like, bitch, I don't believe you for 1 minute. I mean, yeah, she's hot. She's really hot. She is great to look at. I mean, and yes, Michael Bay is a perv. I mean, when the way the camera just follows her. Yeah. I mean, what the hell? But I enjoyed this movie. It's fun. I think that the action is awesome. I mean, the Transformers backstory as well was interesting. It's simple, and it works. And I think one of the best scenes in this movie is when all the Autobots arrive to Earth, and you hear that fantastic score The da 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 da, which is so good, and I think the score is actually really underappreciated in this movie. But yeah, that's it, folks. That's my ranking of the 5 Transformers movies, the Michael Bay ones. So let's just recap just before I close off. Number 5 is Age of Extinction. Number 4 is Revenge of the Fallen. Number 3 is Dark of the Moon. Number 2, The Last Knight. And number 1 is the first movie, Transformers. So, that's that, guys. Thank you all for watching this video. Tune in for my Spider-Man Homecoming review, which will be next month. What is your list of the Transformers movies? How do you rank the 5 Transformers movies? Please put your comments down below, let me know. And thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.